Ooh.
Welcome to CTV Geeks, Spooky Scary Edition. I'm Elena Tran. Today, I'm joined with two special guests.
I'm Brandon Lennon.
And I'm Abby McPhail. Today, we're covering all things horror, including both movies and video games.
Plus, we made our own movie using techniques that make horror movies horrifying.
And CTV Geeks is going to show you how to make fake blood for all your special effect nerds out there.
First up, I'm going to be talking about the history of Halloween and scary video games. From spine-chilling jump scares to eerie atmospheres, we'll explore the games that have you on the edge of your seat. So grab your controller and maybe flashlight as we dive into the haunted world of horror and get ready to level up your knowledge and immerse yourself in the world of gaming. Welcome to the Spooks. Welcome to CTV Geeks.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, what's going on? Oh my God!
Here in the US, Halloween is a spooky time for trick-or-treating, haunted houses, and spooky decorations. But did you know Halloween has Celtic origins from over 2,000 years ago? It originally came from the festival of Samhain, a pagan religious celebration when people would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off ghosts. It was celebrated in Ireland and Scotland as a way to mark the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter. Pope Gregory III designated November 1st as a time to honor saints. Soon after, All Saints' Day came to incorporate some of the traditions of Samhain. The evening before All Saints' Day was known as All Hallows' Eve, which is now known today as Halloween. In Mexico and other parts of Latin America, Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, is celebrated. This is one of the most visually iconic celebrations, with vibrant altars, marigold flowers, candles, and painted skulls. It's a day dedicated to honoring loved ones who have passed away. Families gather, visit cemeteries, and set up altars with food, photos, and mementos for their ancestors. In Italy and Spain, November 1st also holds great importance. In Italy, families traditionally prepare a feast, and sweets like pave de morti, or beans of the dead, are common treats. Spanish families observe this day similarly, with offerings at cemeteries and special foods like huesos de santo, or saint's bones, which are marzipan treats shaped like bones. Now, 'tis the season, and what would Halloween be without a good scare? Just like Halloween traditions evolved to give people a thrill, horror video games have developed to create unforgettable, spine-chilling experiences. Games are the modern-day haunted houses. They immerse us in creepy worlds, test our nerves, and keep us coming back for more. So, let's take a look at how horror games evolved, from the retro classics to today's realistic scream inducers. It all started back in 1972 with a haunted house. This might not have had the visuals and jumps we're used to today, but it introduced the thrill of navigating spooky spaces and set the stage for what horror in games could be. This simple game actually inspired the development of horror mechanics we see in games to this day. While basic, a haunted house pioneered the concept of exploring an unknown, dark environment where players encountered unexpected surprises, an essential element in horror games. The gameplay was simple. Players navigated a haunted house, represented by basic visuals and sounds. Despite the limitations, this setup created a sense of suspense as players faced the unknown, hinting at the thrill and anxiety that would become staples in horror games. Even without the detailed graphics or complex soundtracks we create or associate with horror today, a haunted house aimed to create fear in the player. By putting them in the dark, maze-like setting, it simulated the feeling of being lost and vulnerable. This was one of the earliest attempts to use fear as a form of engagement in games, sparking the idea that games could be more than just fun. They could be thrilling and nerve-wracking too. Fast forward a few decades to the early 2000s with one of my personal favorites and my first horror game growing up, Slender Man. A game that really hit hard on internet culture and brought horror gaming to a new audience. Slender Man was inspired by the viral internet legend of the same name. You play as a character wandering through a dark forest, trying to collect pages while avoiding the faceless, suited figure of Slender Man, who appears out of nowhere. This game was terrifying, not because of its graphics or high-tech sound, but because of its suspenseful atmosphere and the feeling of being hunted. It spread quickly online, with players sharing their reactions and experiences on YouTube, making Slender Man a cultural phenomenon. It was one of the first horror games to show how horror could go viral, inspiring a wave of similar indie horror games that use simple mechanics and heavy atmosphere to create fear. Now, let's jump to today's games, which are pushing horror to new levels with advanced technology. Take Still Wakes the Deep, a game that combines classic horror vibes with incredibly immersive graphics and sound. You're placed in an abandoned oil rig surrounded by water, which gives it this isolating, claustrophobic feel. The game uses high-definition visuals, realistic sound effects, and even VR to make you feel like you're actually there. It's not just a story you're watching, it's one you're inside of. This level of immersion would have been impossible without today's technology. Games like this show how far horror has come. From simple pixelated mazes to fully interactive cinematic experiences that make you feel like you're truly facing the unknown. Now that we've talked about the past of video games and where it all started and now where it is, I'd love to talk about some of my favorite subgenres of horror video games, starting with jump scares. There's games like Five Nights at Freddy's, which holds a place in my heart. They're known for their jump scare mechanics, where fear comes from sudden, unexpected visuals and sounds that make you, well, jump. Five Nights at Freddy's has you managing a security camera system in a haunted pizzeria, where animatronic characters come to life after dark. You know they're coming for you, but you never know when, so you're constantly on edge. Next, we have survival horror, which is all about building tension over time. Games like Resident Evil, the Amnesia series, or even The Forest use limited resources and intense atmosphere to keep you on edge. In Resident Evil, for example, you're often low on ammo, health, or light, and every resource counts. You're not just fighting enemies, you're also managing your supplies and trying to survive, which makes every decision feel risky. In survival horror, you're constantly calculating whether to run, fight, or hide, which builds a different kind of fear, one rooted in the feeling that any wrong move could be your last.
Okay, buddy. Close your eyes. I'm gonna. Don't get the bullet. Oh, this is the worst way to do anything. Oh, I gotta hold down to put that, and then did I put bullets? I put bullets in it already. I already loaded it up. I don't even remember doing that.
Then there's multiplayer horror, which adds a social twist to the scare factor. Games like Phasmophobia, Content Warning, and Lethal Company let you team up with friends to investigate haunted locations or survive dangerous creatures. While it's fun to be scared with others, these games often add mechanics where you can either help or hinder each other's survival, which makes them even more chaotic and fun. Multiplayer horror games are all about the social experience. You're sharing the tension, screaming together, and sometimes betraying each other, which makes the scares even more unpredictable. Psychological horror games go a little deeper, using story, atmosphere, and sometimes twisted visuals to get into your heads. Personally, this is my favorite out of the subgenres. Little Nightmares, Limbo, Mori, and Doki Doki Literature Club are great examples. These games don't rely on gore or jump scares. They create fear by exploring themes of childhood, mental health, and reality. Psychological horror lingers with you, creating experiences that are creepy because of what they imply and how they make you feel. These games are about questioning what's real and exploring fears that are a little bit closer to home. Lastly, we have analog horror, which blends old school horror vibes with a modern twist. Games like Mandela Catalog capture the feeling of found footage or vintage VHS aesthetics. They're often inspired by urban legends and old horror tropes, but add a new layer of storytelling, creating horror that feels both nostalgic and fresh.
No.
I know what
You have a lovely face underneath that.
I know what you dread.
Never mind.
So, horror games have come a long way, from early pioneers like A Haunted House to immersive experiences like Still Wakes the Deep. Horror games have transformed fear into a powerful gaming experience. Whether you're into jump scares, survival, psychological horror, or multiplayer chills, there's a horror game out there for everyone. What type of horror game scares you the most? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, stay spooky, and we'll catch you next time on CTV Geeks. Happy gaming!
Well, that wraps up our Halloween gaming thrills. We hope you're not too spooked to sleep tonight.
I love scary video games, but honestly, guys, one time I saw someone get put into Five Nights at Freddy's VR, and that was scary, like, just for me.
But don't go away just yet. After the break, there's even more in store for CTV Geeks. Up next, we'll dive into our first spooky recipe for fake blood and see what makes horror movies so scary.
Stay tuned, Rams.
After 2 years?
You gotta be kidding me! Okay, no.
Robbie.
Seriously, do you have anything you can use against the dragon? I can do fireball, that'll do a lot of damage. Yeah, to all of us!
Well,
We're in a 4-foot room!
I'm sorry, what else do you want me to do?
Okay. Hold on. All right. Wizard. You gonna roll?
Welcome back from the break, Rams.
Let's dive into our first recipe.
Okay, the first one that we're going to do only takes 3 ingredients, so I think this will be good and easy, and hopefully we won't mess it up.
Yes.
All right.
I'm so excited.
Okay, first up is 2 tablespoons of corn syrup. What is corn syrup?
Syrup made from corn?
Bingo.
I don't know how they syruped that corn.
don't-
It doesn't make sense to me.
Did they just like boil a bunch of corn until it like ended up looking like this?
They probably
I think
melted
so.
the corn.
Same thing with
think
corn
so?
starch.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
I know, that's what I'm
It
saying.
just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Well,
The FDA is lying to you. That's all. The FDA is lying to you.
see, the thing that's funny is I think like corn syrup makes candy corn.
Yeah,
But-
corn syrup goes into a lot of stuff actually.
But maybe candy corn is what makes corn syrup.
Ah, great point. All right, let's get our 2 tablespoons in there. I'll sacrifice the cleanliness of my hands to get
Whoa.
that out of there, I guess.
That looks like the clear Elmo's glue I used to eat when I was a
Elmo's
small
glue?
child. No, Elmer's glue. You know
Elmer's
what I'm talking
glue.
about? Yeah,
It does
Elmer's
kind of
glue.
look. It looks like the beginning of slime.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Like we're
yeah.
gonna
Oh,
have like a slime.
We're actually turning into CTV slime channel.
CTV blood slime.
guys, horror-themed slime.
Slime.
That would be amazing.
Shout out to all my
capitalize on
slimes
that.
out there. Shout out to all the
Okay,
people who love slime.
Gross. I mean,
Alright.
yum!
Yay!
All right. Okay, Elena, would you like to
Yeah.
do those food coloring drops?
Absolutely.
Amazing.
What colors are we using today?
Today we are gonna, for this first recipe, we're gonna be using 4 drops of just the red food coloring.
Oh, good heavens.
Or
Behold.
like about
Wow.
Red.
I love red
Reds.
40. I love red 40 so much. You can
Yeah.
catch
I'm gonna
blue
be off
gun
the
red
walls
40.
after
You can
this.
catch fish with red 40. I've
Really?
heard. So I've heard they love red 40.
That's
I
crazy.
love red 40.
Oh, that was.
Ooh, that's like a
thick,
that's a thick
a
slime.
thick drop.
Yeah, it's like a gel. I think like honestly you can give your best estimate. Yeah.
Here we go.
There you go.
I've always been
nice.
more
That
of
seems
a
like enough for
Maybe
to
just
me.
like make a little smiley face in there too.
Ooh,
Yeah,
very
let's see
nice.
if we can. I was
There
like,
we
can
go.
we by chance like will it stay?
Wow. That's
Look
a-
at that
that's
artwork.
beautiful.
Oh, he
Incredible.
turned into a frowny face.
No!
Oh no. Okay.
Is it scared? They got so scared.
Well, we should fix him with 1 teaspoon of cocoa powder.
Ooh, add that.
Everyone likes cocoa.
I love cocoa powder.
That's
And
me.
when it gets cold,
During finals week, just
when I'm in the Arctic and I
Yeah.
drink my hot cocoa powder, my teeth explode.
Finding out that cocoa powder is in fact not sweet changed my life.
Yeah.
And that was very bizarre for me as a child. I was like, what do you mean?
You know, that's a funny story because I have this memory as like a kid
Mm-hmm.
where I thought cocoa powder was Nesquik and I would put Nesquik
Yeah.
on top of my Eggo waffles.
Ooh.
And this
Sounds
one
good.
time I put cocoa powder instead on top of the Eggo waffles and I think my family threw it out.
Oh,
That's okay. That's fair. That's I won't lie. That
that's
kind
fair.
of makes sense.
I will say, as we are right now, I do know that cocoa powder is hydrophobic, meaning that it does not like water. Let's check this. Yeah, so water is like the 3rd ingredient on here. So, yeah, we're going to be, while we get this all mixed together, what's your guys' favorite scary movies?
Ooh.
Do you have one off the top of your head?
Gosh. I'm trying to think of one right now. I don't know. I just watch like a lot of animated movies. Like you think of like Coco is a classic, The Nightmare Before Christmas is a classic.
True.
How scary are we talking? Are we
Yeah.
I
talking
mean, what are you thinking? Like, what are you buying to put up there?
Something that shivers my timbers. Something
Shivers your timbers.
Yeah, you ever
Yeah.
watch Monster House when you were a little kid?
Yes, actually, one of my best friends in college, she was the CGI model for the little girl on the tricycle.
No
Mm.
way.
Yeah.
And then that tricycle got snatched up.
Snatched right up by that
Snatched right up
big
by
old
the
house.
No.
Don't trust houses is what I've been saying. All this time, I don't live in a house. That's all. I don't live in a house. I don't trust houses.
Well-
Because who knows if they're a monster house?
That's true. Any house can be a monster house. But I definitely have to say my favorite is The Shining. But let's take a quick gander at the history of horror movies.
Let us. I've
Welcome back to CTV Geeks. My name is Abby McPhail, and today I'm here to talk to you a little bit about horror movies. Now, our story begins in 1931 with the release of a film adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Around this time, Nosferatu was also...
Well, I mean, I like to think that horror movies are some of the best out there, to be honest with you. I think they do a really good job of bringing people's emotions out. I don't know a lot of scary movies that or regular movies that do stuff like that.
That's definitely true. I definitely feel like the coolest part about having the scary movie is like it's usually, especially in the fall, it's cold outside, you curl up with like a warm cup of hot cocoa or coffee, you turn the TV on and you just get your pants spooked off.
yeah.
That's so true. That's so true. Yeah. Well, here we are with our very first recipe of
Looking scary.
That.
Looking
spooky ghoulish.
I like that though. It's very like thick and viscous.
It is indeed. Yeah, I mean, like, for fake blood, I think, honestly, that looks pretty good. Now that I'm, like, reminding myself what I'm making and not just, like, stirring a bunch of stuff together, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that does look good.
Yeah.
You know what? I think that is certainly something.
Can I taste it?
Yeah, I was exactly thinking that. I was like, does it taste good?
that,
Would
like,
you like a little, like, hold on, let me just.
Yeah!
Ugh!
Wait, is it that bad?
No, it's like
It's bitter, probably.
no, it's not too bitter. It's like someone put like viscous chocolate in my mouth. It's like if somebody left like a Hershey's bar out in their car for like 72 hours and then just like hot baby car. That's what I'm talking about. Like 95 degrees or more. Like that bar of candy was sweating and then you just like popped it open and just squeezed it into my mouth. Like that was viscous. Like let me tell you, that was kind of crazy.
That's
Can I get another hit of that actually? That was kind of good.
Would you like another, like?
Yes, please. Yeah, it's not that much better. I won't lie. I kind of expected something to change.
It didn't change that much?
No, it didn't. In the 5 seconds of me talking in between trying it the first time, no,
That's
nothing
alright.
changed.
That's
Nothing
okay.
changed.
This is the reincarnation of the chocolate that I forget about in my back pocket.
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I've never understood why people are scared by stuff like that. Like, just turn it off, you know? Like, if you're too scared for a horror movie, just turn it off. Just turn it off.
Whatever, speak for yourself.
Well, I definitely learned a lot about horror movies, and hopefully you all at home did too. But before we hop into our next scary cooking adventure, let's take a page from the horror movie handbook and build the suspense with a break.
Living with someone you don't know on the other side of the wall is hard, especially if you don't know how to be a good roommate. The first thing that you'll want to do to be a good roommate is make sure that you always stay quiet. Be considerate of others when using common spaces and appliances.
Hey buddy, what you doing?
I'm just gonna need like 40 minutes. Be respectful of your roommate's privacy. Ugh, my bad. Finally, make sure that you clean up after yourself. Oh, a fresh toothbrush.
Have you seen my toothbrush?
Follow these tips to get along with your roommates and your landlord.
Wow, that really did build up the suspense. But should we maybe give the viewers what they want?
Why not? They stuck around so far.
All right, it's time for our second recipe. This one has 5 ingredients, so maybe a little bit more work intensive than the first one. But I don't know. I don't know how to count. But I can count 1/4 cup of water, which is our very first ingredient.
1/4 cups water.
1/4 cup water.
Whoa.
Yes, from my own personal stash of water.
I've seen you with the stash before.
Oh.
You know, I shaved it off a while ago, but that's about a 1/4 cup. Alrighty.
Yeah.
What's next?
Let's see what this tastes like.
You know what? Why don't you try?
You wouldn't believe this one. You wouldn't believe this one. I feel like this is gonna taste kind of gnarly. I won't lie. Like straight
I
up.
think so. I mean, it's just water, food coloring, and corn syrup.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what we made before, but like thin.
This low-key looks like straight blood right off the rip. Oh, are we putting some of these?
Yeah, do like about 8 drops. Yeah.
1,
2, 3, 4, 5.
Sorry, I have to restart the count.
I'm so sorry. I need to be more accommodating.
2, 3, 4s.
Amazing.
Now, what's 4 plus 4? That's 8.
10.
Don't worry.
That's 8. And that's
Oh, I
what
also got
we're
this
about
little.
to do. Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's giving.
They kind of like, I'm afraid to tilt this so that you guys can see it a little bit better, but it kind of just looks like a bunch of worms in here.
It does.
That's
it
kind of
looks like
gross.
bloodworms, actually.
But, you know.
Maybe if you add the corn syrup, it'll
that'll
thicken it up.
I hope so. Here's the thing. I worry.
That's fair.
Should we hit the 2 drops of yellow food coloring and 1 drop of green?
Chanel number 5.
All right.
Yellow 5.
This is
Very
actually
nice.
coral blue number 3. All right.
Coral blue number 3.
Yeah.
That is the greenest blue I've ever seen.
Have you ever, like, that episode of SpongeBob where they're getting Mr. Krabs, like, $100th back from the giant blue clam? Like, am I tripping?
When they go fishing for clams?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is
I
what
remember
I'm
that
talking
very
about.
vividly.
All right. Let's see here. Okay. 4 tablespoons of this. All right.
You can count that.
I can't count that.
Well,
Just can't count past that.
we'll be cleaning the desk after.
I think about the symmetry of worms sometimes. We were
Really?
just talking about worms. Yeah, if you ever look, let's say it's like my finger's a worm and then my other finger's a worm. That's 2 worms. They're pretty symmetrical.
That is true.
Yeah, parallel even. Dare I say it? I do love a good worm.
Did you guys ever have to dissect worms in, like, your science class?
Oh,
Yes, I have. You haven't?
No.
You didn't have to do that?
No.
I definitely had to do that, and it was like a challenge of like, okay, no one's ever found the brain of the worm in Miss T's 7th grade science class. So here's your challenge. I thought I found it. I thought I found it. I mean, I was totally convinced, but like, was that true? Was that reality? Who's to say?
The intelligence of worms. Let's just talk about that very quickly.
In
the ground, decomposing.
Mm.
That's kind of old. I do. I'm gonna be real.
They are. Worms. If they're eating everything that's decomposing in the ground, then they're technically the most apex predator.
That's very true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Respect the worm.
Right there with fungi and bacteria.
Ooh,
Yeah, true.
yeah. Yes, this is certainly...
That looks very blood-like.
It does look oddly blood-like, even not really mixed together. Because, like, this one is more, like, of a true red, I feel like. The other one's kind of like, it's been sitting out for a while. You know what I mean?
Maybe if you, like, reduced the amount of cocoa powder to red,
Yeah.
it might be more red.
Yeah, I definitely think that would greatly help in anybody's fake blood adventures.
I feel like a whisk would also help. If we had a whisk, that would kind of
Oh,
be
yeah.
that'd be pretty baller
A
right
whisk
about
and a big bowl in which this could splash around.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have too many issues. And I know you're saying, Abby, what are you talking about? There's a big bowl right to your left. No, there isn't. No, there isn't, and that's my dish from home. And that means having this corn syrup harden onto that bowl while I wait to do it in the dishwasher.
Yikers.
Responsibility. That's the scariest thing of all.
What do you think this one tastes like?
Red 40. I
Yeah,
don't
Brandon's going to be off the walls by the end of this episode.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Like, this is such, like, an interesting process, because I feel like I keep mixing it, but it's not actually doing anything.
This is like very like liquidy. I feel like this is definitely like a splash blood. Like if I
Yeah.
got like, I don't know.
It did just splash at me, so you'd be right.
Exactly, yeah. Like if I were to get punctured somehow, this is definitely coming out of my body.
Yeah, for sure. Nice and
But
red.
this hasn't actually come out of anyone's body.
Exactly.
Don't worry.
Don't
this
worry.
isn't real.
Or so we think.
Oh.
Or so we think, or so... Listen.
Scary.
Listen, guys. You watch... Oh, gosh. I just keep spilling it everywhere.
Could you fool a forensics detective? That's the question.
Oh. I
Just
mean...
kidding. You slip them a $5 and you can fool them anyways. They're corrupt. They're corrupt. Let me just tell you.
All right, Grandpa. Back to the home.
I remember when I had candy for 22 cents.
I had to walk uphill to school, both the ways.
Both ways. I remember when a large monkey would throw barrels down at me when I was crawling up those hills. I remember I lost my best friend, Phil. He got hit by a barrel.
Oof. Didn't see it barreling towards him.
Oh, let me get my knee up here.
Oh.
bad.
Wow. That sure is a lot of fake blood. Indeed. But I think that there's so much more to a horror movie than just guts and gore. Tell us about it, Brandon.
It sure is. There sure is. Let me tell you something first off. You don't need gore to make a good horror movie or even make a movie frightening.
Yeah.
To prove it to you, here's a CTV Geeks' very own scary movie. Good evening, everybody. It's I, Brandon Lennon, and welcome to a very frightful episode of CTV Geeks. I have some scares to show you if you don't mind sitting down and watching them. Hello? Is anybody here? I'm here for an entertainment meeting. Hello? Is anybody here? There's supposed to be an entertainment meeting here. Hello? It's weird. Did someone turn out the lights? I'm still in here. Hello? I think someone turned the lights on me. Huh? What the hell was that? I must be losing it. Gotta stop eating all that Benadryl. And we're back. I hope that frightened you.
Brandon, did you drink milk again? You've been on there for like an hour.
Stop! Leave me alone! Leave me alone! Yeah! Pretty spooky, huh?
Oh man, I don't know if I'll be able to sleep tonight.
Yeah, Brandon, I might need to call my mom.
Definitely. I might also have to call your mom.
No, okay. Anyways, so, which recipe did you guys like better?
I would say number 1 is tastier, but number 2 is more realistic.
Yeah, let me see like how much of a tilt comparison we can get here.
Okay.
Yeah, one's very viscous.
We're hitting a 5-degree list.
Yeah. This one, like, you can do anything with. I feel like you can do whatever you want.
You just hit that like the like blizzards.
Yeah, like I could work at Dairy Queen with this thing, like no problem. You know,
It's
I
like
think
actually
you could,
like not moving at all.
I know you could draw like a little smiley face in it.
Whoa, he's so happy.
He's so happy. Oh.
But you know what? Number 1 would look better on fabric, but number 2 would look better as a blood splatter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say definitely number 1 is like something you can use more for like costumes, but I'd say number 2 is like more of a makeup kind of fake blood.
Yeah. Can we try that? Can we splatter that? See how that looks?
I'm down to be splattered. If you want to
wanna
just
be
like like put your
splattered?
like fingers in the wah. You can like wah.
All right.
On a plate.
Oh, on a plate. Okay, I guess I won't be
I
splattered.
mean, if you want to hold the plate up in front of your face so that you still feel like
let's get this
it's
like,
happening.
This is like forensics. This is exactly what forensics are.
This is
what
a
our
very
tax money-
scientific process.
Okay.
Say something scary when you
Sorry,
splash
guys.
me. Be like,
I will clean up the studio afterwards. Don't worry. All right.
And she takes her hand. Bah! She shoots.
Okay. So there's some splatter.
A
There's some
little
splatter.
bit.
You can't really see
mean-
it. This is a very white plate, almost as white as me. Jesus Christ, that looks
Wow.
awful.
I mean,
look
you
awful.
could definitely. Here, let me see that.
Yeah,
I think. Well, I think like even if you did like something kind of.
Oh, there we go. That looked really good.
And it's dripping onto my hands now.
Yes.
Yay!
They got some nice PFAS.
Yeah,
on that
here we
plate.
go. You gotta like show the drip.
Yeah.
The drip.
The drip.
The drip.
Yes. And this is more of like a sludge.
I don't know if you can see that too well.
It's kind of bright.
Yeah, this one, like, here, we'll give, like, a viscosity test.
What if we mixed them?
What?
Well, there's one.
I had to do a
that
little
again in case
twirl
you
right
missed
there.
it.
Let me do another one.
There you go. Here's this one.
Good heavens.
So you kind of have to wait. If I took a little bit of this one to mix into this one, we'll do it, like, right in the corner.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
I mean, ooh.
Yeah.
It certainly makes it, like, back to its, like, original thickness, I'd say, because it kind of, like, set up a little bit. And yeah, it's certainly something. It's certainly a mixture that we have put together that looks how it is supposed to look in this instance. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. When people talk about drip, they think about clothes. Yeah. But when we talk about drip here on CTV Geeks, we talk about blood viscosity.
Exactly.
Fake blood viscosity.
Yeah.
Please no one think that this is real. It's not real.
It's not real.
All right. Well, that seems to be all the geeky content we have for you tonight.
Don't forget to check out CTV Sports tomorrow night.
And have a safe and even spooky Halloween weekend, Rams.